Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Actually, I did a solo session, daily brief here today, so feeling a bit talked out, and actually I have a class session later on this afternoon. So I'm not going to really make too long of a rant here today. Just a quick summary. Today and yesterday, been dominated by this gentleman speaking in front of Congress. Been a lot of fun. We had a lot of great conversations in the Daily Brief about what he's saying, what he's not saying, what the politicians are trying to spin here, blah, 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 blah. And also, too, we have this wonderful event coming up here in about a month and a half, well, a little bit more than a month and a half, about sort of, and it looks to me like everybody's sort of made up their mind here in the short term. So with that sort of said, I don't think it should surprise us that risk is looking a little bit dangerous here again. We did have the smatterings for some bottoming action coming out, sort of, setting up out of the end of the summer there, heading into sort of back to work, back to school. And of course, I'm hearing now the stats are 40,000 students in the United States have been tested positive for coronavirus. I can't see how this is going to end well. I just can't. But, oh well, we'll see what happens. Having said that, you can see that risk is kind of coming off here. And interestingly enough, I think it's also quite deflationary too. Listening to Mr. Powell, he's explicitly said, hey, there's no free money here. You borrow money from the Fed, you have to pay it back. There is no grants. There is no free ride. So, also, too, he's continually saying U.S. economy needs more stimulus. U.S. economy needs more stimulus. It's going to have to come from the politicians. It's going to have to come from the politicians. And the politicians, because there is no, immediate crisis, are like, fuck you, politics, 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 politics. And they're not moving an inch. So how do you get these politicians that are politics, politics, politics to actually go, oh, maybe we should think about the economy? The stock market does a wonderful job in waking them up. And I think it's going to do the same job again. So you guys remember, of course, back in February, all hell started to break loose. And then in March, finally the politicians go, okay, fine, we'll do something. And sure enough, as soon as they did something, the market put in a bottom. And I get the distinct impression that that's basically what's happening here again. No reason for me to be bullish whatsoever right now. And if you see it, and like I said, what I find really interesting is I do believe that this is deflationary to a certain degree as well. Because if we look at things like the broader sort of risk on, risk off, remember there's our Bitcoin top. Crypto looking very heavy right now. There's stocks. Oil, interesting, trying to hold on here. But look at the way the gold is just getting its ass kicked here. This is why I really think this is deflationary. And also, too, we had a lot of fun talking about silver. They're just destroying the silver kids right now. I've warned you in the public repeatedly about this silver market. And then also, too, we have a whole bunch of sort of internal messages of risk on, risk off. If we look at things like... where the hell did I show these people? Things like the gold-silver ratio is moving back towards risk off, not risk on. Interestingly enough, am I alive there, Kevin? Are we still going? Are you trying to talk to me? Who's bleeping me? Somebody's bleeping.
We're good.
All right. Must be on the site. All right. What's other risk on, risk off? We were talking through the daily brief, things like the Bitcoin dominance. That, I think, is a fantastic little risk on, risk off measure that you can use within the crypto space to sort of tell you a little bit about sort of the risk temperament. I think this was the risk on window. And now we're transitioning into the risk off window where Bitcoin usually outperforms and the altcoins get their asses kicked. So there's this as well. There was one other risk on, risk off measure that I was mentioning to the kids here today, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. So if it comes to mind, I'll think about it. US dollar index, of course. Oh, and another one. There's a whole bunch here. Sorry. So US dollar index sure looks like it's head and shouldersing out here. So actually, congratulations. Hats off to Julian. He was very... the US dollar has bottomed. The US dollar has bottomed. So nice call there, Julian. I still think we need to wash these lows. But hey, the market will do any old damn thing it wants. So on the comments from the U.S. governors, keep in mind all the other central banks and all the other currencies, they've gone and done more stimulus and fucking... The guy running the show here in Canada, it's almost comical how he has absolutely no conception of how he's just decimating the Canadian balance sheet. Like, capital stock of Canada. I don't even think this Trudeau guy even understands what those kind of concepts mean. And his only response is, well, what would you have us do? Well, I'd have you, as a leader of this country, try and at least have a little bit of fiscal restraint, sir. No, free money for everybody. Anyway, ironically enough, down in the States, they are actually showing a little bit of fiscal restraint. I've actually made the argument that I'm actually super bullish of USA Inc. I think USA Inc. is actually setting itself up really well here in comparison to the rest of the shit around the world. You're going to go invest your money in China right now and have Winnie the Pooh just tell you, oh, by the way, thank you very much for the contribution to the Communist Party of China. You no longer own the asset. It's now the government's. And oh, if you say anything, well, I've got a beautiful prison camp. Hey, look at that. There's a nice little bench. We can put you to work there for the next 10, 20 years. And you can work more for the Communist Party of the country. So take your choice. Contribute your land and your property to the government free of charge, or contribute your land and property to the government and we'll whip you once a day if you want. Re-education. So, take your pick in this world. Maybe that's a little bit of ranty. It's a little bit over the top by Brian, but hey, it's my show. Downvote if you want. I'm sure you're going to anyway. So put it all together. Getting a lot of sort of risk-offy kind of messages. Big outside downside reversal in that small cap index versus the big stocks. That's a risk-off vote. Breakout in the US dollar. That's a risk-off vote. Stocks generally coming off here. That's a risk-off vote. And, I don't think it should surprise us. It's interesting to see how Bitcoin and crypto is really trying to buck the overall trend here. But, come on. Let's call a spade a spade. Big M's. The weird part about it is I actually tell the public I think cryptocurrency is a fantastic leading indicator. So, when we do our funny little risk on, risk off conversations, where the hell is that? I've been just sort of squawking recently that, Bitcoin actually broke down a while ago. And the rest of the markets are kind of playing catch up right now. I do find it fascinating how that gold went the exact opposite direction of the yen. Very suspicious. Anyway, crazy world. So a lot of today was like rhetoric. There aren't a heck of a lot of new trades to put on right now. Now, something like Bitcoin, you can see the top up here, market smiling at you, all that, blah, blah, blah. So sitting right here, is there really a hell of a lot to do? Not really. If we can dump hard against these lows, well, I might get motivated to pay attention. You can see A, B, C, D. It looks like we want to head down into here. If we can rally back up against the top end of the range here, well, I might take a serious look at put options. A, B, C, D. So quite literally, the market could break either direction here right now. So there is no trade for me here. It's six. What do they say? 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Right, that kind of talk. Same thing with Ethereum, kind of just sort of middle of the range. You could take long shots against these lows. Well, the problem here is coming in on the long side, way up here. Is this really, is it a low risk entry? No, not whatsoever. Again, very sort of no man's land. I could short up against here. I could buy down against here, but sitting right here, bleh. And as you can sort of see here, what I would prefer is, can we get back above this bot level, put in some really good looking market structure, and then maybe I can think continuation trade. But right now, I'm just frozen. There's just nothing to do here. And, you know, kind of like the DeFi space, which was sort of the leader in all of this. If it's still sort of cleaning itself up, I can't see how this stuff is going to move higher. So taking a quick boo for you guys, just look over at that DeFi space, you know, our DeFi index. Let's keep an eye on this. Whoops, not that one. Over here. Nah, you know, moving averages are still negative. We come into extension levels. 113 is pretty popular level for extension traders. You could argue there's a cute little double bottom that tried to form, but it, you know, if we change this to a clothesline, that disappears. So again, kind of wishy-washy. Maybe we can turn back up here, but that's tough. I don't have any reason to think bullish here. Like, serious, like, position trades. No, it's sort of wishy-washy, middle of the road. And the thing is, right, is we could easily counter trend rally right back up against these lows, and nothing really has changed here. So there's not really much for me to get too excited about. Of course, the big boys, right? Yeah, this guy was the one that led for the whole way up. And he just broke down to new lows here this morning. So remember we had said this was a pretty good setup that we walked literally through. The moment the trade happened, walking you through. Move stop to scratch, move stop to trailing. Your target is this 66987. I think at present now, we have, since we can move our stop to trailing, we'll move it to market structure level there. And if we trip this level up, we hop off. But you can see she's just slowly careening her way down. And I don't see any huge hurry. Actually, that's good. There is a bit of a node there. But, wow, look at that little hole. I mean, that's right down at our target. So there's just no hurry here. And, of course, too, right, they don't call it the fall for nothing. So we're definitely in the time of year where, you know, asset prices should come down. Also, too, you know, I think this is less to do with the actual cryptocurrencies. Obviously, the names that got bid up way too far too fast, FOMO, right, don't chase, blah, blah, blah. I think they have to clean up. That's what this image is. But on balance, I don't think crypto's bad. And if you do see things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that have to come off, I think it's more just a broader risk market message than really specifically about crypto. And so when that happens, what we should really be thinking about this is systemic risk. So you want to go and hunt your setups in your individual ideas that you know there's good fundamental value there. Right? So, you know, if you can pick up Bitcoin, I think below 7,000, it's value. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So. As for sort of fluffy momentum trades, nothing just yet. There are some interesting little inside bars. You can see a 4-hour little double bottom here trying to come in. Maybe on that lend, 4-hour double bottom, maybe. Inside bar, somebody on the site was watching this dot really closely. Keep an eye on that level if you trade him. And you probably see these little double bottoms on this DeFi index come in if all of these little double bottoms and inside bars fire. So it's not really like this is a screaming buy. It's just maybe like, holy shit, they just pulled the carpet out from underneath. Could maybe we have a little bit of backfilling here? I think so. That's not unwarranted. Kind of like, you know, I believe it or not, I can call me crazy. I actually like the idea of Bitcoin coming back up here. Doesn't mean it has to. It's just Brian's opinion. And actually, we through the daily brief, we actually walked through that there might even be a bearish bot setting up here. So, you know, traders got to trade your setups, try and lose the opinion. There's the bearish bot. So if we start breaking down in earnest through this 10,400 area, then probably we're heading lower. So trade your setups. Don't take no wooden nickels. Interesting how that bot lines up perfectly with that Foggenbaum level there. No way of knowing what the fuck's going to happen in the future, but just trade your setups and, you know, don't take no wooden nickels, as they say. So there's your market summary. Not really too exciting. It's what, about a month and a half away from the big political event in the States, and all these celestial events. Big one's supposed to happen December 21st. I think a big one comes in November, which probably marks some sort of short-term bottom. But over the next 6 months, it's going to be an absolute mess in the market. And ironically, Kevin even said it perfectly today, although I don't know whether he wants me to tell the public this, but I'm going to anyway, sorry. A little birdie told Kevin yesterday or the day before he should probably just leave the market alone till March. And frankly speaking, I don't think that's a bad idea for all of you guys. It's going to be a wild ride. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that presentation. PMA for the win. All the best. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say at this point is a big bye for now. Toodaloo.